Welcome into the Awesemo.com MMA Live for Lock, as we're here to get you ready for today's UFC Vegas 55, which goes down, starts in 1 hour from now, live from the UFC Apex there in Las Vegas. Of course, we are headlined by a female match between Holm and Caitlin Vieira. Of course, we got 11 fights. We're going to talk about those fights over here over the next hour or so. Of course, as always, I am joined by the fighter Pete Rogers Jr. Pete, good afternoon, brother. How's it going, man?
Good afternoon. That entrance music was fire. I'm ready to make a highlight video to that. That was sick. Good work, Mike. I love it.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Of course, we are sponsored by Prize Picks. I was actually putting some Prize Picks plays in a little while ago.
Okay.
Some of the things that I do like over there. We'll talk about some of those props that I do like over there later on in the show. Of course, be sure to start lining up your questions there in chat. If you throw a super chat in there, your question will go to the top of the queue. But I got to start with my man Pete here, because he threw a little interesting nugget out there to our Discord members earlier this week when it comes to underdogs on DraftKings over the past couple events.
Yeah, so a lot of 6K fighters have been coming through, and it's not typically how it should be, but out of the past 6 cards, 5 of the optimal lineups have had a 6,000 fighter. So it's kind of crazy that, in 5 of the past 6 weeks, a 6,000 fighter has come through. Usually not the case. I thought it was interesting. And this week, another 6,000 fighter that some people, including myself, will have exposure to, where it's like, we can see a path to victory for Parker Porter. I mean, he has to withstand an early barrage, in rounds 2 and rounds 3. That's where he could start to really possibly pull off the upset. I'm still not sold that he does it. I'm still getting to tons of Jailton Almeida, but I mean, as far as a super punt play, you mentioned him, and I think that some people should be a little bit over the field today, just in case.
Speaking of Prize Picks, that was one of the props I was really looking at, was the Jailton Almeida fight time prop of 5 minutes. And I keep thinking that's an overplay. I don't know what it is. I just think maybe the toughness of Parker Porter can survive 5 minutes. I mean, look, if Jailton Almeida, he's a smaller guy. I mean, he's a light heavyweight. Let's not kid ourselves. He's a light heavyweight taking on a guy who essentially cuts to get to 265 pounds. And I was sitting there going, man, because it made me think about, could this, if Almeida cannot get the stop within 5 minutes, is there a path to him being optimal at 9,400?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough to say. For majority of my lineups, I'm going forward like Jailton Almeida is going to get, rid of Parker Porter within 2 rounds. I do know that Parker Porter is super, super tough, but as far as unknowns, there's a lot of unknowns surrounding Almeida's gas tank, and also the fact that he's great at being the hammer, but what happens with this ton of weight discrepancy, you know what I mean? Like moving up a weight class. And if he, for some reason, ends up on bottom, or he starts having to carry Parker Porter's weight, there's a situation where gassing and fighting outside of your weight class can definitely work against you. I'm still thinking that it's a low percent that it comes through, because I do think that Jailton Almeida is the more skilled fighter, but we see it week in and week out. The better fighter doesn't always win. So, I mean, get some exposure to Parker Porter. You don't have to go crazy with it. I'm still expecting Jailton. I just want that fight, right? Like that fight seems like fantasy points galore to me. And it's heavyweight MMA. So
there is a fight on this card that I really starting to think it's going to be optimal. We'll get into that here in a moment, but I do want to get into CS, the super chat. As always, man, I appreciate you in the super chat. It says, out of 6, 555, how many would you fade the main event? Also, I want to be lighter on Almeida, knowing that how many of the 6 think guys. In terms of fading the main event out of 6 lineups in a high-end GPP like that, I might fade in 2 of the 6.
See, I might be a little bit more aggressive than you. I'm not sold on the main event being a part of the optimal lineup, just because I think Holly Holm's going to be very selective with her combinations, and selective with her output. And this is going to be one on the outside where she's just, largely outpointing her opposition. Caitlin Vieira is going to look to close the distance, incorporate grappling early and often, and not become a punching bag. But the footwork of Holly Holm, I think, is going to be the difference maker here, and just the distance striking. I don't think that there's a super eagerness to Holly Holm to get this fight finished. right? And I think that she will be comfortable just banking rounds and just doing enough to win decisively. So whereas like in her previous matchup against Irene Aldana, where she incorporated her takedowns, I feel like that's kind of like playing with fire in a situation like this. Like, why even go to that path? Just utilize your striking. She could land takedowns, and I think it's what a lot of people are kind of banking and hoping on. But I'm lighter on the main event this week than I have been in other weeks. If you think that Ketlen Vieira has a legitimate shot, she's going to pull the upset, then I would say, you know, having 3 to 4 of the 6 CS makes a ton of sense. But for me personally, I might only have 2 of my 6 lineups with the main event.
Yeah, I mean, my thing about Jailton Almeida and kind of his questions about kind of, you know, how much, you know, to go with him there is, you know, my thing comes is what does your roster construction look like, you know, in terms of, I think and this is one of those weeks that I found myself building lineups that had more fighters in that 83 to 88 range more than trying to get to those, you know, 9,000 fighters.
Yeah. So, I mean, like there's going to be plenty of stars and scrub builds where it's Jailton Almeida and then like getting to Eric Anders or even Ketlen Vieira. My guy, Vince Morales this week that I'm hoping comes through. But I feel like the mid-range is awesome. Like the mid-range is loaded from Omar Morales to Chidi Njokuani to, you know, Joseph Holmes. Like there's tons of just value pieces there. And even the 8,000, 8,200 fight, I'm okay with getting to either side of that. So like there is a situation where you're kind of boxed into a certain construction by rostering Jailton Almeida. You know what I mean? Like you can't get to, you know, a lot of the mid-range, obviously, because you're paying up 9,400 for him. So I'm okay with, you know, avoiding him for some of it, just kind of going with a mid-range build. But, you know, it's a tricky card for sure. And I, you know, you and I mentioned it on the Odd Shopper video where I feel like this is going to be like a parlay buster card. Like one of the big favorites is going to lose. And it's just picking your spots, being very careful throughout your lineups.
No doubt about it. Of course, appreciate everyone here on a Saturday afternoon watching the Awesemo.com MMA live before lock. Of course, do us a favor, show your support for the show. Just simple. Just hit that thumbs up button. Simple, helps us out a ton. Of course, if you're not subscribed also right here on YouTube, you got to do that. We got you covered all day long. Of course, come here later on today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We will have MLB live before lock, and then 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have got NBA live before lock. Of course, once you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you get an alert for when a new show is live here on the channel. Of course, if you're not an Awesemo Plus member, today's free data and tools are MLB main slate ownership projections, NBA ownership projections, UFC pro plays, and NHL player rankings. I want to mention a question over in our Discord chat. It says, Jason, is the main event a must play or a solid fade in your opinion? Also, your thoughts on Park versus Anders. You think Park's takedown upside outweighs the volatility of the fight, or is Anders worth a shot? In terms of the main event, you know, someone asked me this question, a general question along those lines, Pete, earlier over in Discord, is like, when I look at the 3 female fights, I probably would say I'm fading the Ricci Viana fight just because of likely going to go 15 minutes. May not be the best DFS score. Just looking at it from a ceiling score potential. You know, I'm thinking that their grappling is going to cancel each other out. It's going to play on the feet. The Elise Reed Sam Hughes fight, I don't know if you can avoid that fight, Pete.
Really?
For some reason, I'm thinking that fight's going to be optimal. I don't know what it is, how much is price point. Look, I'm not. I think Sam Hughes is just not at this level. I like Elise Reed in that fight, but to me, if Holm and Vieira was 3 rounds, I wouldn't prioritize it. But the fact that it's 5 rounds, we have seen Holly Holm go to the takedown well in the past, is something why I say, you know, I want to get to it.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, right, and it's okay to have differing opinions. It's completely fine, and that's what, like, you should be thinking outside of the box. Me personally, I feel like that Viana Ricci fight of those 3 might have some of the highest upside because of grappling, control time, you know, takedowns, and possibility of a submission finish. Okay. I understand that they're both solid grapplers, but we have seen Viana get submitted, and I just feel like they're at a salary point where it kind of makes sense where it could make it into the optimal lineup. The Elise Reed, I'm backing Elise Reed. And I think it's, she's going to want to keep it on the feet, land her big right hand, land her outside striking, and prevent Sam Hughes from taking her to the mat. Those two fights, that fight and the main event, are somewhat secondary for some of my builds. Like I'm kind of getting more to the Ricci and the Vieira personally. And then it's the second is getting to Holly Holm. But I don't know. And that's what makes us all, think differently about roster construction. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's why you should be creating groups and like not going just for one particular build, spreading out some exposure and mixing some things in. But you mentioned on Thursday, is there a chance that none of the 3 women's MMA bouts are part of the optimal? Sure, there's a chance, but it's kind of difficult, right? Given their salaries. And if an upset occurs, you would think that it might allow, its way into the optimal lineup.
In terms of the Park and Anders fight, I mentioned about the potential of maybe Park does go to the takedown route in this one. In terms of if you're putting Eric Anders in your lineup, the thought process has got to be he is going to knock him out, because the one concern I have with Eric Anders is low volume. You can just if you look at his wins, you look at the fight against Darren Stewart, which was last week, an decision win. He had 44 significant strikes in that matchup, no takedowns, no knockdowns, no submission attempts. You go back to his previous win before that is against Gerald Mersharp back in 2019, also decision win, 64 significant strikes, 64 total strikes, control time of 9 seconds. So, like, to me, if you're putting Anders in your lineup, you got to be thinking he knocks him out. If you think Eric Anders is going to win a 15-minute decision, I don't love the volume, Pete.
Yeah, I don't love the volume either. But it would have to be dependent on the rest of the slate. I don't know. He's so irritating to roster. I'll have some of them, but a lot of times he's just not doing enough. And you're sitting there and you're like, why did I bet money on him? Outside of the Darren Stewart fights, like, look at most of his career and it's just like, dude, have some urgency, put some combinations together, utilize some wrestling. And I'm interested to see who's the better wrestler in that fight. Truthfully, I hope that the clinch occurs. And I think that Park might have the upper hand there, given I think he has some sneaky takedowns, whereas Anders is a part of Fight Ready. You would think that it would help his takedowns offensively and defensively. I'm just curious because you never really know. On paper, some things don't necessarily materialize. That strength may not, Park may be sneaky strong and we don't know. But I'll tell you what, the physicality of Anders is pretty evident.
Of course, a little right before the show, we did update the top fire tool. So if you're an Awesemo Plus member, you can check that out, which makes me think of, when we did the show on Thursday, Pete, we didn't have the FanDuel salaries out.
What the hell? Yeah.
FanDuel, man. What's going on, man?
FanDuel. Either they know something that we don't, or their interns are smoking a little something before they're putting out these prices. I don't know what the hell's going on, because
for people who don't know what we're talking about, Jailton Almeida, $22. Okay. Makes all sense in the world. It means a 5.5 to 1.6 betting favorite. All sense in the world. Parker Porter, $20.
I don't know, man. They're trolling us at this point. I just think it's like they have like a strange feeling that this fight's going to be a part of the optimal. And they're like, well, let's just price Porter up for no damn reason. So who knows?
Obviously there's a reason to get to Parker Porter on DraftKings. That's a tough sell over on FanDuel, bro.
Talk about ultimate leverage position, right? Like, who the hell is really going to be spending $20 for Porter on FanDuel? You might have 1% of the field getting there. So who knows? I want to get to this super chat then, just in case we didn't miss it. We have Sam Pierce saying best DK captain. And y'all look at dummy. Not sure what that means, Sam, but I appreciate your super chat. Best DK captain.
Dude, I'm just saying, bro. I saw an old show come on my Facebook memories. We were both a little skinnier back in the day. I'm just saying. Those are back in when you were truly kind of trying to make 146. You ain't trying to make 146 anymore.
Hell no. But honestly, I'm not too far off from where I used to be. So, so the DK captain contest is an interesting contest, and thank you, Sam, for the super chat. It's loaded, absolutely loaded. You got Omar Morales at 11-7. I really like the discount on him. You got Park at 13.5 for the captain spot. 13.8 for Holly Holm. I probably won't get there. Cheating Inchiquani 12.6. Jailton Almeida is easily going to be like the number one, and he's going to carry the highest ownership at 14.4.
Yeah.
And Joseph Holmes at 12.9. I'll have to tell you that my favorite play for captain would have to be Omar Morales. He's cheap enough with almost equal upside to some of these fighters. He has to, weather the early storm from Uros Medic. He has striking finishing potential. Medic's ground game's absolutely atrocious. He can take him down. He can test his submission game down there. Morales actually has like some, I think 4 or 5 submission wins on his record. So I love the salary discount, and then it'll allow you to spend up in some other spots. So that's my play right there.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at the trio of Holmes, Inchiquani, Morales. I mean, look, we all saw Jeff Holmes' UFC debut. It was a stinker. Well, let's just be honest about it. It was a stinker over there. But it's more about who he's going against, of why you potentially like him there in that spot. If Park goes the takedown route, I think that's another interesting potential as a captain, if he's able to do that, control time, keep Eric Anderson on his back. But like that to me is, I would get to Holly Holm aspect, and I would just get away from Almeida just because there's just going to be people that are just going to make him a very popular captain spot. So I would try to get away from Almeida. Yeah,
exactly. It's a chalky pick. So that's where it's Morales for me. But yeah, thank you for your question, man. And we have almost 400 people tuning into the live show right now. You guys got to get us over 100 likes. We really appreciate it. Shoot your questions into chat, and let's win some money today.
One fight that I'm really struggling to get to in GPPs is actually the co-main event.
I found myself kind of boxing myself out of that as well, because like Michel Pereira, he has been more patient of late, right? And if you look at his record, he has all the striking skills in the world, and he has some good pop, but he has a ton of decisions. And maybe that patience stretches this fight out a little bit more than what a lot of people are expecting, or maybe they respect each other so much that it's somewhat of a staring contest. And that 8,200, 8,000 fight, we say it every week, it makes its way into the optimal lineup a lot just because of how it allows you roster construction. But I got away from it for some too, so I can't blame you there, Jason.
Yeah, it's just the way I see the fight playing out and thinking of saying I'm trying to get to 650 points on DraftKings. Is there a path for me putting that fight in line at that, and I can still get to that path? That's just kind of where I was thinking. Sam, I appreciate you there in the super chat. He says, best underdog, and what is your best lock? Oh man. Oh, that L word. I know you just hate that L word.
I hate
in
it.
Terms of best underdog today, I might say Vince Morales.
I think that it's going to be competitive. I really like Vince Morales. I also like Chase Hooper, and I know that's like such an ugly play, but I like how Chase Hooper can really work towards the back and backpack a lot of his opponents. And I mean, he doesn't have the best takedowns in the world, but from everything that I've seen from Felipe Colares, outside of being offensively aggressive with his takedowns, his takedown defense is terrible. Like he'll get planted on his butt. And I feel like Hooper might be the better jiu-jitsu practitioner here. And this could lead to tons of reversals and just tons of ground activity. So I'm going to say Hooper, but Morales and Hooper are like really, really close for me.
In terms of your favorite L word, the lock, I think the easy choice would be Almeida, but I will tell you, do I have concerns about the weight disadvantage in this fight? No question I do. I might go Omar Morales.
That's exactly who I was saying. I mean, like Jailton Almeida would be like such a ridiculous and easy one to say that's a lock. I don't think I hate that word so much. I'll go Morales, but Holly Holm is like right there as well. Like I think that Holm's experience is just going to be too much, even though she's definitely older and not the same fighter she used to be.
course, get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFF sport out there with an Awesemo Plus Platinum Pass. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, lineup builder, our premium Discord channel, and so much more. Now, if you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can save 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All you have to do is click the link in the video description below to activate this offer, or you can head to our join page and use the promo code MMALBL, all caps, one word. That's MMALBL for 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Again, this is for new users only, and if you're only interested in playing MMA DFS, you can sign up for an Awesemo Plus MMA package for as low as $2.95 weekly. Of course, Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and it's not included in our base packages. And of course, can easily be added at checkout. Highly recommend you do that. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. Of course, when you use that promo code, let's people here at Awesemo, let them know you heard about it here on MMA Live before Locked In. A great way to show your support for myself and Pete. Let's get to another super chat here from My Filler Arc. He says, Pereira, Park, and Vieira, or Holmes, Anders, and Morales. Park. There's a lot of misspellings here, by the way.
That's okay.
But say it's correct.
My pillar starting early. I appreciate your super chat.
I've seen this in Discord too. It's Anders. Anders.
Andres. My filler, what's up? I appreciate your support for the channel for sure. I think I'd have to go with the first one. Just because I'm not really an Anders fan this week. So I'm going to go with Michel Pereira, Jun Young Park, and I will go with Vieira.
Okay. My thought on that question is, I think.
Well, who's Vieira? Viana? No, Caitlin Vieira. Oh,
yeah, Caitlin Vieira, Park, and Michel Pereira. I think the first one is the safer option, but I think option number 2 has a higher upside.
Agreed. Totally agree. I'll play both, but I mean,
I would say like if I'm playing cash, I would go with the first trio there. In a GPP, I would go the second combination. Just because of looking at ceilings. I
mean, I'm not personally a big fan of Vieira today, and I'm not a big fan of Anders today. So I can kind of poke a hole in both of those. If it came down to just 2 for 2, do I like Michel Pereira and Jun Young Park versus Holmes and Omar Morales? I like Holmes and Omar Morales more.
Yeah. Mentioned a question we just got over in Discord. Says Cheaty projected ownership is pretty high. Is it smart / worth it to try to get over the field? Look, I mean, Cheaty and Chiquani, the one concern I do have with him in this matchup is that Dusko makes this into a clinch grappling type matchup. I'm not surprised by the ownership. I'm just not. It's because of there's a reason Cheaty is called Bang Bang. I mean, this is what him and his brother, they're strikers. This is what they do. And so, like, to me, that ownership is relating to what he can do in terms of potentially ending the fight in the first round. I wouldn't get over the field, but in multi-entries, I would want to get to Dusko as well.
Yeah, so I have Dusko. I just like the fight in general. I have Dusko as one of the underdogs that could surprise with the correct game plan, weathering the storm, pressing him against the cage, incorporating takedowns, punishing him with ground and pound, and testing his jiu-jitsu. That's what you got to do against Cheaty and Chiquani, because his striking defense on the feet, Dusko Todorovic's, is just not good. His hands down, his head getting bopped back like a Pez dispenser. Definitely not something that you want to see in a fighter. So that's why I am, and you are, so big on Cheaty and Chiquani today. But it's just a fight in general. Like, if Dusko wins, it's from doing everything that we said, and pretty similar of how, like, every fighter has a path to victory here. It's just a matter about implementing it and avoiding their opponent's strengths. I say most of the time that he can't, but there is a little glimmer of hope that he does. So I got to a tiny bit.
Also, something to notice, if you do ask about Morales, let us know if it's Vince or Omar. That's also another thing.
That's why I was confused, because my brain processed it as Poliana Viana, and then it was Vieira, and then we got Holly Holm and Joseph Holmes, Omar Morales. We got Vince Morales. Like literally my brain went mush for a second. Brent God is like, Vieira's on the main event. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, bro, I know. It just, every now and then you get these, it just threw me for a loop for a second. And we appreciate all your input, guys.
Did you have a hard sparring session this morning?
I didn't, I swear. No, I didn't. No. Every now and then, you know, you can't blame me. Like, what the hell was that spelling on some of that? Keaton. All right, we'll get to Keaton's question real quick. Rate this lineup. Holly Holm, Uros Medic, Junkie Park, Parker Porter, Michelle Pereira, and Njokuani. Confidence level 1 to 10. How does that come through?
Say the lineup once again.
Holly Holm.
Okay.
I like Holly. Uros Medic. Kind of lost me on that one.
Yeah.
Junkie Park. I like him. Parker Porter, Michelle Pereira, and Njokuani. I would give that a confidence of 4 out of 10.
Yeah, confidence is low on that one.
Confidence is low, but that doesn't mean that if it hits, I think it's unique enough to work.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you're going with some low underdogs. Yeah. Sam, I appreciate you in the super chat. He says, Pereira or Ponzinibbio, thoughts? I am torn. I just don't love this one for a GPP. I just think that I just don't know if it's going to. I project this fight to go 15 minutes. Now, look, could Pereira catch Ponzinibbio? We've seen that happen. No doubt about it. But I just think this fight's going to play out in 15 minutes. I think it plays out on the feet. I don't think you have knockdowns. I don't think you have takedown attempts. And so that's where I struggle with GPPs and it being optimal.
All right. So what the hell do you think is going to happen in the fight? If you don't,
it's going to be a 15-minute kickboxing matchup.
But you think they're just going to both be so durable? Now you think it's going to be a low volume?
Yes. Well, first off, with Pereira, there are times where it's like, bro, these flat, you know, he's calmed down a lot over his past couple of fights, but there are times where like it's wasted energy to me of stuff he does. It's just like, what are you doing? Yeah. You know, and just, I think it's going to go 15 minutes.
I'll tell you what, and you have a great point, because I have an odd gut feeling it goes 15 minutes as well, because everybody's banking on Michelle Pereira to knock out Santiago Ponzinibbio because his chin is bad nowadays and he's washed and he doesn't look like the same fighter that he used to be. And he had a war with Miguel Baeza, who's, you know, he's somewhat of a busted prospect now. And it's like, I mean, I think that Santiago Ponzinibbio is probably one of the best fighters that Michelle Pereira has ever fought. I'm still favoring Michelle Pereira, but like, this is a massive step up in competition. And if Ponzinibbio is durable, is he the more technical and more talented fighter? He has the more experience as far as like top level talent. So that's where I'm like really split on this fight. I'm like 40% of each, truthfully. Like I like both of them. It's a lean towards Pereira just because of the ground game and the fact that he hasn't been knocked out 3 times in his career, whereas Santiago Ponzinibbio has. But it's a fight where I think everybody's going to get to it. So getting away from it could be a little bit of a unique decision.
I see some questions about Uros Medic and why we don't like him. First off, and you know, I'll just use a line. Friends don't let friends bet on fighters who fought a majority of their career in Alaska FC. The fact is, in the UFC, the level of competition he is facing is so much greater than what he fought coming up the regional scene. Alaska FC, if you don't follow regional MMA, it is a god-awful level of competition. It just is. I mean, there's a reason managers want to send their fighters to Alaska FC because they feel like it's an easy win. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Yeah. I just think he is, I always say this, you should not be developing in the UFC. And that's what Uros is doing here. And I just think Morales is a much better fighter.
Okay. And you're correct. Now, if you want to play somewhat devil's advocate and you're playing in a 150 max, right? If Medic wins, how does he win? First round finish. That's literally how I only see it happening. So like, that's where you should have exposure to it. But the more likely scenario is that Morales is either going to be able to stifle anything that Medic throws at him, incorporate takedowns, be the better fighter over 15 minutes, and threaten with a finish in rounds 2 and 3 in multiple ways, striking and grappling. So like, that's where getting some exposure to an underdog that has high just like if they win, they're going to score well. Like Petrosky in hindsight is somebody that I probably should have had a little bit more of, because we know that he's a round one beast. Outside of round one, he's somewhat of a fraud. And sure enough, found that round one finish. So there are some people out there that are going to be back in Medic just because of the salary. And I get it. I have some of them. But if you really want to talk skill for skill, Morales is better.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Omar Morales today. Of course, this is the Awesemo.com MMA Live Before Lock, and we are sponsored by Prize Picks. Use the promo code Awesemo for up to $100 first match deposit bonus. Of course, be sure to use our free player props tool to make the best selections over there. And looking over at Prize Picks today, Pete, there were a couple of props that did stick out to me. First off, I'll go over to the fight time prop. It hasn't moved since Thursday, but I do like the cheating 20 under 9-minute prop. Also, I like the under 1.5 takedowns on Felipe Colares, just because of, if his team is being smart, why do you make this a grappling matchup?
Okay. You know it. Sometimes fighters just abandon game plans, and the game plans go out the window, and they can't help themselves because they're so instinctively programmed to respond a certain way. That's why, like, if you ever notice, like, watch when you're watching the fights tonight, when somebody lands a hard kick, you'll almost always see the other fighter respond with a kick. So, like, if Chase Hooper initiates a grappling sequence, you could see Felipe Colares stuff it, defend it, reverse him, and then attempt his own takedown. It's the strangest thing in the world. It's like monkey see, monkey do. I do what you do. I can do it better. I think that the game plan would be stay away from Chase Hooper on the mat and try to piece him up on the feet, use takedown defense. I just don't know if he's smart enough and has the fight IQ to do it, truthfully. So, I mean, I'm with you on the Njokuani one. The Felipe Colares, like, this could be a situation where, if, you know, Hooper just accepts the position and falls on his back, and now he's got 2 lame takedowns because he's just such a guard puller.
I will tell you one of the plays that's not up there anymore, but I did hit the under 14 3/4 fight time on Colares earlier this week.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's
because at that point, you're basically saying this fight's not going to go, as, you know, as long as it just doesn't go to decision, you're in good shape.
Right. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I wish I could play this, man. Like, this Prize Pick, shout out to Prize Picks. Thanks for being a sponsor and just hooking us up and all that. And if you guys can play, it's so simple. It's so fun.
And if you want to play the NBA like I did last night, we've got a free tool over at Awesemo.com to check out there to let you know which have the best ROIs over there. Also, I'll tell you, the Jailton Almeida 5-minute fight time is an interesting one to me. I'm tempted to say over on that one.
Damn. I mean, I don't know. That's tough because, like, he's expected to win in round 1. But yikes.
Is Parker Porter tough enough to survive 5 minutes? And if he can survive 5 minutes, you'll cash on that over.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, I don't think a round 2 finish is completely out of the question.
Yeah, but be sure to check out our sponsor over there, Prize Picks. Use that promo code also for instant first match deposit up to $100. My filler Arca has got another super chat for us. He says, first ever UFC I watched had Porter in it, and every time he got hit, he just used his body and weight. Does he have a chance?
Well, I mean, you're going down narrative street right now, my fella, and that's completely fine, because if you want to watch a fighter and you want to put some money on somebody and you like them for a particular reason, I mean, Porter does have a chance. He has to survive and test Almeida in rounds 2 and 3. Now, I think that it's an uphill battle for sure, because Almeida, despite being from a weight class below, looks like he has ridiculous talent. But Porter is a little bit more seasoned, and he is the bigger fighter. So, I mean, of all days, you're not asking a horrible question, and throw a lineup on Parker Porter for sure. I have a few of them, and I think everybody in the field should have a few just in case.
I feel like we haven't touched much on Jonathan Martinez and Vince Morales.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the strategy show, obviously. When you think of, first off, this matchup, the fact of one of Jonathan Martinez's best friends is Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez has fought Vince Morales, their training partners. We all remember what happened in that match with Vince Morales, where he just leg kicked the crap out of Vince Morales. But Vince Morales is a much different fighter now. Since he's moved over to Syndicate, we've seen the changes there. We kind of talked about, Vince Morales being a nice little underdog player over there. I mean, I don't know if I want to get to a Jonathan Martinez at 8,900 though.
Yeah, I think that Martinez is it should be everybody's fade of the week. I mean, if you want to just completely go against the field, then, it could be one of the best spots that nobody's getting to. I just don't think that he has a chance of being all that optimal. I mean, outside of the Frankie Saenz fight where he scored 114 points, Jonathan Martinez hasn't scratched 80 points, hasn't even scratched 70 points. So, I mean, that was a complete outlier for that fight. I don't think that he possesses the same leg kicking ability that his buddy Chris Gutierrez does. It's almost like comparing him to the calf kicking god. Chris Gutierrez is such a calf kicking monster. Yeah. You cannot compare anybody to him. Now, giving him some advice on how to set things up and some tendencies, I think that there's going to be some opportunities there, but I don't think he'll have the same success. He's just a completely different fighter, different stance, different, striking talent, likes to kick to the body a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just interested to see that fight, and I want Morales to really test his chin early and often.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, if you do have any questions, line those up in chat. We'll get to those questions as we go throughout this show. Of course, we're just about 20 minutes before we're going to hit lock here. Of course, the fights start here 4 p.m. Eastern time. Look at some questions that maybe came in a little earlier here. Let's see here. Actually, just got a super chat in here, so we'll get that one in from Sam Pierce. He says, confidence in this DK captain lineup. Captain Omar Morales.
Already like it.
Almeida, Chidi, Michelle Pajea, Paul Viana, Caitlin Vieira.
So you're banking on 2 women's MMA upsets. The Caitlin Vieira one could just be a punt and surviving 25 minutes with Holly Holm, which I'm okay with. The Polyana Viana one is interesting because I feel like a lot of people are somewhat torn, including myself. I feel like this could end up being just a striking match because Tabitha Ricci, if she does incorporate takedowns, Polyana Viana is pretty threatening off of her back. And despite them both being pretty accomplished in the jiu-jitsu department, it's just like playing with fire for both sides. Like getting caught in an armbar in women's MMA is such a common occurrence that, I mean, she's done it twice so far, and it's happened to her once as well. So I don't hate the lineup. The first 4 are very strong though. Morales, Almeida, and Jaquani Pereira. I really like those 4.
Got asked earlier about favorite optimal MVP and contrarian MVP in the big GPP over there on FanDuel. I mean, look, in terms of the favorite MVP, it's going to be Jonathan Almeida. That is what everyone's going to look for. If you want to, basically get different from the field, do someone not named Almeida, not named Holly Holm. I would look at Chidi and Jaquani. That'd be for me.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week that Davey Grant was nice in that spot, and a strong striker in Chidi and Jaquani is another one that kind of fits the same caliber. So I'm going to lean towards Chidi in that situation.
Yeah. Let's see here. Who's going to Takedown City?
All right, damn. You might have hit the nail on the head with Jun Young Park taking Eric Anders to Takedown City. I mean, it's okay. So listen to this, right? Chase Hooper, is going to incorporate and shoot a ton of takedowns. 8 against Steven Peterson, 6 against Peter Barrett, right? That's a lot. That's 14 in 2 fights. Felipe Colares also, and I know it's not the strategy that he should implement in his past 2 fights. No, I got to tell you all of them because this is ridiculous. 7 against Chris Gutierrez, 10 against Sanders, 8 against Montel Jackson, 8 against Dom Pilarte, and 8 against Geraldo de Freitas. That's a high amount. I had to get to a little bit of Felipe Colares, even though I love Chase Hooper this week, just because of how Hooper's so accepting of the position. And when you're on your back and if you can't find the submission, maybe, right? But I mean, do you have anybody that really sticks out from a Takedown City approach?
All the ones you name. I mean, look, Hooper could pull guard in this one. He could go old school, right. Early 2000s MMA. You just pull guard and hopefully your opponent's dumb enough to come and follow you to the ground.
I hope it's Omar Morales. I really hope it's Omar Morales because I was watching some regional fights of Uros Medic. my God, is his wrestling and ground game horrible. It's not good at all. And I think that training out of Sanford MMA for Morales, they have one of the best wrestling rooms in the business with Greg Jones. So that should be an easy path to victory.
I don't know how many people know Greg Jones' name. One of the best coaches.
He's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be, I have some buddies that are down there training, Jared Gordon, one of them. I think that I have to take a trip for my next fight. I really do.
Next super chat we have here is from Jordan. He says Hughes and Inchikwani or Omar Morales and Ricci/Reed, whichever one of y'all like out of Ricci and Reed, go with Omar if y'all like the other side.
I got a headache, but I appreciate your stuff, Jordan Smith.
I would go Omar Morales and Elise Reed.
I mean, I like Elise Reed. Now, that's a fighter we're not talking about, right? Like Elise Reed, to me, when I watch film, she uses a lot of lateral movement and can hit Sam Hughes, who just is on a straight line at all times. If she can keep this on the feet, she could hit Sam Hughes with a lot of right hands. I mean, she's priced at 8,500. It's a fight that I don't think I'm prioritizing, and neither are you. It's just a sneaky fighter I don't think a lot of people are comfortable getting to. I think she'll win, though.
DraftKings GPP, Holm or Park? I think Holm's a safe bet. Park could have a high upside.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And everybody talking about Sam Hughes and watching tape. Yeah. Like she can get takedowns. Reed can get taken down. It's just a matter of controlling her on the mat, keeping her there, and then making the most out of the position, because I don't think that Sam Hughes is, significantly better than Corey McKenna. I don't.
Last man in on DraftKings GPP, 7.7K on the table.
Well, who's he have?
Yeah, that's why I hate those questions. Like I need to know who else is in your line, because I might name somebody.
Yeah, I mean, look, we want to help you.
Like Morales, Chase Hooper would be two that would jump out to me.
Yes, same.
Those would be the top two ones I would throw out there.
D Spearman with a super chat saying ownership updates. I think it
updated about an hour ago.
Yeah, I think we're all set.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those weeks where we have not had any changes, which is
Don't you say that, Jason. Stop it. You almost made me swear. You don't say that. The hell is the matter with you? Listen, if there's an issue, I want everybody to timestamp this right now, and then somebody's going to clip this, because if there's an issue, I'm going to freak out on Jason next stream.
No, look, it's not my fault, bro. It's not my fault.
Okay.
I got nothing to do with it.
Oh.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But I will say this, there's a lot of fights in this card that I'm just like, oh man, don't feel confident one way or the other.
Oh my God. If this ownership is correct, holy moly, is that person going heavily owned? And it's not the highest owned fighter.
Let me double check it here.
Bro. I'm excited. I really can't wait, just because these fights are on an earlier time for me. So
you love the afternoon card.
I do, because I get to watch some and enjoy some before being a bad employee and watching it at work.
I mean, the Vieira ownership's a little surprising.
Okay.
In a way.
Well, that's very surprising. I'm talking about somebody in the upper 8K that, we like this week, but holy moly, that's a lot of the field agreeing with us.
Cheaty, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
No, I mean, look, it's first off, people are going to look at Cheaty and go, you look at that knockout, but as we mentioned, the concern with Cheaty of saying, how does he lose this fight? To me, he loses this fight if this becomes a grappling clinch fest type matchup and Dusko can not make this a fight at range. If this fight is at range, it is Cheaty and Jaquani all day for me.
Yeah, same. I like Cheaty Bang Bang today. So now let's kind of just glance and talk about somebody we haven't talked about at all. Because coming in at single digit ownership, Mr. Alan Amadoski. That's about it, right? Like, he just his name.
I mean, look, like
training with Khamzat Chimaev now. I don't know if that necessarily changes things.
You know, coaches have this line, Pete. Film don't lie, bro.
I mean, his highlight, if you look at his highlights, and granted, you can't depend on highlights for film watching. I mean, when he lands, he has power. So, like, if he gets through the range and the length of Joseph Holmes and he lands one of those bombs, man, he could put his lights out. But his grappling is atrocious. I mean,
look, we know who runs the corner, Joseph Holmes.
It's my guy.
You know he's sitting there and he knows the path for Joe Holmes to win this fight.
Did you see what Kraus? It seems like the UFC has hired him to break down a bunch of the UFC fights. I don't know if it's for betting or what.
So I know Kraus. So he was doing some stuff with the Anakin Florian podcast. And then I believe he started his own Discord for betting.
Yeah.
So yeah, would not be surprised at all if they hired him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did, because he posted something about like getting a new suit, getting this, getting that for like, and it was him in front of like a broadcast thing. So, I mean, props to Kraus. I mean, we've been tooting the Kraus horn for a very long time.
Well, but speaking of broadcasting, apparently the makeup artist had to do some work on Laura Sanko because she had a bad sparring session, I guess you'd say.
That's so awesome that she, I think it'd be really cool if she came out of retirement and, like, you know, as an analyst, like, she makes her walk to the octagon.
She made a comment within like the last couple of weeks. I was like, if the UFC would ever had an atomweight division, that she would have attempted to do it.
Yeah, I think that they might, because everybody loves Laura Sanko. Mr. Guy saying, you take Glory, I'll take All Stars. I like All Stars. I'm a big All Stars guy. I'm just not an Amadoski guy. Do I think that there's so many unknowns surrounding him? Yeah. Do I like the fact that he's pulled out of so many fights? No. Do I like the inactivity? No. Do I like the ground game of him? No. I think that he has power, but outside of that, man, I don't know. There are some international fighters that just don't cut it. And
I'll say this, as someone who knows a lot of things that go on at Glory, more and more fighters are going there. And when high level UFC fighters are rolling through that gym, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Brandon Moreno, for an example, is now training at Glory MMA and Fitness.
James Gallagher. There's tons of good fighters. The one that left, he fought a couple weeks ago.
Grant Dawson.
That was just the weird situation. But I mean, they have a lot of guys. They're not at an American top team level, but they're definitely talented.
Look, when you can get people to move to Lee Summit, Missouri, over moving to, like, I don't know, LA, Vegas, Miami,
Fort Lauderdale. Yeah,
you're doing something right.
Yeah, like, you don't really have to do too much convincing to get somebody to go to Fort Lauderdale or go to Florida in general and train at Sanford or American top team. It's not a tough sell. Going in the middle of nowhere to train and focus on MMA. Now that's a different story.
It's like you think back in the day, all the dudes that would go to Iowa to train.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I went to New Mexico and I liked it because it was complete isolation, like training and living at Cowboys. You had no worries. You just, on the ranch training 24/7 and just, no distractions, but it's not for everybody to do that.
I'm telling you, if I was going to start an MMA gym and I could pick a location, you wouldn't know what would be part of the criteria list, Pete?
Warm. What?
That's a good one.
What?
A lot of fighters like to partake. So I'm looking for a state that's where cannabis is recreational.
Oh, very true. Like Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize that until like I started training with some of the top fighters in the world. How many fighters, you know, smoke and just like, you know, help like use it throughout training camps and all that stuff. And yeah,
It's and it is about recovery. I mean, straight up. I mean, obviously there's some that want to just get high, but for a lot of people, it's about recovery. It's about recovery.
Yeah. I mean, chat is awesome right now. And you guys are great. We appreciate you like crazy. And we want to see you guys win some money tonight. And we want to win some money tonight as well. I'm going to be taking more of a sports betting perspective and approach this week. I'm still playing in GPPs and all that, but I don't know. It's just 11 fights is a little tough because you start to have the same chalky builds as everybody.
Of course, what we do want to see is after these fights are over, we want to see those winning screenshots. We want to see you go into the Awesemo Hall of Fame today. Of course, you know, you got to be rocking that Awesemo avatar on your DFS profile. And when you finish in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, tweet your win. So at Awesemo HOF, you win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Only one free month can be awarded to a user per calendar year. Looking at some of the people that have gone to the Awesemo Hall of Fame over the past couple of days. Kudos to Chris on Thursday night, taking down first place over there in the NBA contest over there on FanDuel, taking down a total of $13,000. Kudos to you. Also, congratulations to Justin, taking out first place in 2 different golf contests over there on DraftKings, taking down a little over $5,000 over there. Jordan taking down first and second place in an MLB contest over on DraftKings. Congratulations to you. Ryan, who I know has been in the chat, he took down a contest over there on FanDuel with a single entry for MLB. So kudos to you. Also, Bama Jones taking down first place over there, and also Draft Class taking down first place. So kudos to everyone that has gone into the Awesemo Hall of Fame over the past couple of days. Want to see you go into the Awesemo Hall of Fame come up here tonight for UFC Vegas 55. D, appreciate you in the super chat. He goes, I'm going to sign up because losing GPP by 0.72 hertz. He sent that screenshot. Oh my God.
My phone died, but poor D Spearman. We appreciate you, man. And he still had a great day, but lost the GPP by 0.72. Oh, yeah, heartbreaking.
I saw that and I was just like, oh my God, that is, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would, well, I mean, I'd already be a couple cocktails in already, but it really would drive me to drink.
For sure.
You know, that was me last night as I was just trying to get on my prize picks props to come in and watching the game last night. You know, it's, you know, certain people I'm like, hey, Klay Thompson, can we start shooting some threes, bro? Can we make some threes, bro?
Yeah. So I took the Warriors spread, and after the first half, I was like, why the hell did I do that? And then sure enough, the Warriors come from behind again. And it's just like, geez. And I ended up cashing. So I have it a part of a couple parlays. I had the Celtics the other night, a part of some MMA parlays as well. So I have some cash out options, and I also have some that are kind of, I might just let it ride. And a lot of it's going to be dependent on the first 2 fights of the night.
Yeah. It's you know, it's one of those things of like, you sit there and you look at, you know, this fight card and say, you know, what are the fights that you believe you have to be optimal? Like, I look at the Cheaty Engine Quantity Dusko Todorovic fight. I think that's a fight that will be optimal. Almeida Porter, I think, is another one. Even if Porter can pull it off in a low volume fight at 6,800,
say he gets 60 points.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's still probably enough because it's just, you know, relative to his salary, it's incredible.
And what that allows you to get to as well. Obviously, FanDuel's a completely different story.
Yeah, what the hell? You know, the Medic and Morales fight, like, I think that's a sneaky optimal fight as well. Just slightly above that mid-range, and just like volatility. Morales did not look good in his previous performance, but that was because he was against Jonathan Pierce, got taken down and submitted. Medic, super aggressive in round 1. So I'm prioritizing that matchup as well.
Let's see here. We got under 5 minutes here before we're going to hit lock here. Holmes or Holm? Joseph Holmes or Holly Holm?
It's Joseph.
Holmes is a safe pick.
Is it though?
It would be for me.
I'm going Joseph Holmes.
I mean, look, the upside of Holmes is there. It's just concerns me when you're talking about, I would feel safer getting Holly Holm.
Yeah.
And we have seen Holly Holm in 2 of her last 3 wins, go the takedown route.
I know. I don't want her to do that this time, though.
You would think that it's not likely. Who's more likely to pull upset, Porter or Amadoski?
I'm going to say Porter.
I would say Porter as well.
Amadoski, like, he was signed for a reason. He lost and got demolished by Krzysztof Jotko, and then John Phillips knocked him out pretty easy. But he throws heavy. I mean, he was a KO artist, and that's why they signed him. So he just has a lot of physical disadvantages in this matchup, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Parker Porter, I mean, like, can he make this a clinching, grappling type fight to where he can really wear on Almeida? If he can, obviously we're in a smaller cage, but if he can get it behind that black line and get Almeida's back up against the fence, can he just wear down Almeida enough to where he can truly, as the fight goes on, use that weight to his advantage?
We will have to see. I mean, it's a scary matchup to take. And Parker Porter, he's a tough bastard, man. He really is. So we'll have to see how it works out. But I definitely got to some of them.
Mason talks about how he leaving salary on the table today. Yeah, I mean, when I was building some lineups, there was times where I was leaving over $1,000 on the table.
I think that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, anytime I'm leaving like 2,000 and more, then I'm really getting different. But I think 1,000's fine today.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those slates where I do believe it is very easy to leave a lot of money on the table. I mean, look how many underdogs we saw come in last week.
I know.
I mean, you could sit there and say a 3 underdog build, you could literally have a ton of money left on the table.
Yeah, and especially if you're avoiding Almeida at the top, then it's kind of like so many cheap options that kind of are appealing.
Wow, interesting. I just saw a tweet come in over here from Low Spark saying, talk about, thanks for the show today. He goes, by the way, I have a sneaky hunch that Krause is the one that Dana has his eye on for taking over when he retires. I don't think that's the case.
What?
I don't think that's the case.
I don't think it's going to be anybody that we could even predict. Truthfully, I don't think it's going to be Krause. I think
it depends on if the current ownership group is still the owners of the UFC at that time.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, I just want to bring up what ML Georgiev is saying. Week after week, we see an out of the blue underdog hit the favorite. You guys keep saying MMA is unpredictable. You could be the lowest underdog and one punch sends the favorite home. Valid point. Valid point. Yeah. And that's why upsets occur so much in this. So sprinkle some ownership and sprinkle some exposure to, like, even in Amadoski, I think I have in a couple just in case. But you truthfully never know because fighters develop over time.
And also, you just never know what's going on with the fighter leading into a fight. I mean, let's just look at last week as an example. Alexander Rakic has a knee injury coming into the fight. Amanda Hebos has an injury coming into the fight. If you just don't know those things, it really can change a lot of things.
How about that other guy, Mike something, the guy that's terrible, the horrible
Mike
fighter.
Jackson.
Mike Jackson took the what was it, an eye poke?
And some shots to the nuts.
3 spinning back kicks to the nuts, or whatever it was. And then he took the way out and ended up getting a DQ win. So, like, he should not have won that fight, but here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy, but we are about to reach lock here. So good luck to everyone. Of course, keep it locked here to Awesemo. Coming up here at 6:30 p.m. each time, we have got MLB live before locked in. 1 hour after that show, you'll have NBA live before lock. Get you ready for tonight's Celtics and Heat Game 3. Of course, appreciate everyone tuning in here. We'll be back in 2 weeks. No UFC show next week, so me and Pete will be back in 2 weeks for the strategy show. So I hope everyone has a great day, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks right here on the MMA Live Before Lock show.